Hey YouTube family, it's Humberto from GrayLaw TV. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to bring you some real live immigration stories. Stories of past celebrity clients who I represented in the past. And, I hope you find it interesting and entertaining. So in my younger days as an attorney, I was fortunate to represent the firm IMG. And IMG represented professional athletes and entertainers, and I started getting visas for these individuals who were represented by, this firm. So a lot of the hockey players were coming, from Canada, coming to the U.S., and at the time, Dr. Jerry Buss owned the Kings. So, on occasion, I had the fortune of going, to games and seeing some of the hockey players and getting to know them. Subsequently, Dr. Buss, who is the former owner of the Lakers, asked me to do work for some of the basketball players, Vlade Divac, who was from Yugoslavia at the time, some of the other players. He also owned what was called Foreign Boxing, and he was bringing in a lot of, boxers from Mexico. And so I would get visas for these individuals. So for athletes, there was a provision called a P visa, and the P visa allowed them to come to the U.S. and work. It's a temporary visa. On the green card side, I would file applications for the hockey players through what was called special handling petitions. So they were sort of an expedited green card for the hockey players, and then I became known as the go-to guy. So after working, for 10 years for Dr. Buss, I was at a game, and his personal assistant came to me and said, "Hey, Humberto, Dr. Buss would like to meet with you in his private suite down by the locker room." I was very nervous. I was like, oh my God, did I mess up on one of these visas? Or, what's the situation? Why does he want to talk to me? So I go down there, and it was pretty surreal, to be walking down to meet the owner of the Lakers. So I went in, and he's very nice. He was such a gentleman. He said, "Humberto, I'd like to thank you for all of your work on the visas. You've done a great job." He says, "But now I would like you to do special work for me." I said, "Okay, anytime." He goes, "But I don't meet in offices, so whenever I call you, come down to the suite and I'll tell you, I'll engage you and I'll tell you, what we need to do and what I'd like you to do." So I remember the first time, I went down to the personal suite, and he said, he introduced me to this individual, and he said, "Hey, Humberto, I'd like for you to work on this particular case." And I said, "Okay, it's very difficult, but, I'll do my best." So I got the visa. I was successful. And then I sent a really big bill. So he calls me up, and this is a side story, but he calls me at home. And my wife answers the phone. She didn't know I had a meeting with Dr. Buss. He says, "This is Dr. Buss, I'd like to speak to Humberto." And she goes, "Well, he's busy right now. Can I have him call you back?" So she tells me that Dr. Buss called, and I go, "Hun, that's the owner of the Lakers." And she goes, "Really?" I go, "Yes." So I call him back, and he says, "Hey, Humberto, I want to meet with you. I want to go to lunch with you. I'd like to talk about the bill that you sent me." I said, "Okay." So I remember we went to lunch at one of his favorite restaurants in Marina del Rey. And we sat down, and he says, "Look, I'm going to pay your bill, but I didn't become a billionaire by not knowing what you did to earn these fees." And so I said to him, I explained, exactly what I did. It was a very difficult case, and I pulled it off. And I said, "By the way," I said, "my bill's not a lot of money." I said, "You pay the players a lot of money. My bill is not so substantial." He laughed. We continued with lunch, and we had a great time. And I remember subsequently I would go to the games whenever I wanted. I would sit in his private suite, and in these suites there was a party. There was a lot of food, a lot of drinking. It was a lot of fun. Another story I remember, I had a good friend, his name is Tom Prince, and Tom worked for Phil Anschutz. And Phil Anschutz was an investor who actually built Staples Center. And Phil Anschutz also had a film company. It was called Walden Media, and Tom was one of the producers at Walden Media. Now, our kids went to preschool together. We had known each other for, maybe 15 years. We never told each other what we did professionally. So he called me one time and Tom said, hey, you want to go, to a basketball game? We'll go to Staples Center and, I have a private suite. So we go to the game and I go, hey man, whose suite is this? He goes, this is Phil Anschutz's suite. I said, wow. I said, where's the party? Where's the food? What's going on here? It's kind of boring because Phil Anschutz, very religious individual. So no alcohol, no party. It's just totally just the game. And I said, hey Tom, let's go to the suite next door. I think you'll find it more interesting. So we go next door. And again, there's the party. We go to Dr. Buss's suite. There's the party. There's the food. I introduce Tom, to Dr. Buss. And he goes, God, Humberto, what do you do? And I said, well, I represent, Dr. Buss in connection with all the foreign athletes, artists, players, etc. And to this day, we laugh about that story, but it was surreal and it was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching GrayLaw TV. Click below, like and subscribe.